Hello, my loves. Today I want to talk about this concept of both. It's quite a simple concept, but I think a lot of us don't really live like this. A lot of us shy away from this abundant mentality, from this idea that we can have our cake and eat it too. We can have this and we can also have that. So when I first started dating my now husband, we would go to the grocery store and I would be selecting a pasta sauce and I'd be like, I like this one, but I like this one too. I'm not sure. And he'd be like, oh yeah, we'll get both. And he was just so quick to be like, oh yeah, then we're getting both. And at the time I was just like, oh, we don't need both, you know? But then I tuned into it and I'm like, you know what? If two things are calling out to you at once, then that is a nudge. That is your desire trying to tell you something. And it can be something as simple as, hey, I'll try this pasta sauce this week and next week I can try the other one. Obviously, that is a small example of the concept of both, but it also applies to big things. A lot of women have this assumption that they can either be very successful and wealthy, or they can have a loving, happy, healthy marriage. And we see so many of these surveys online where the person will say, choose one. You can only have one. What are you going to choose? And the options are like love, wealth, health. I truly believe that we all get to have it all. Now, that doesn't mean that I necessarily think we just wake up one day and we get to have all these things. But I think that if we truly look within and ask ourselves, is this my desire? Is this from a good place? Is this meant for me? And the answer is yes, then perhaps that means that you get to have both, that both can be your desires. That doesn't mean that you're going to have both things right now, but it can mean that eventually you will get to manifest both of those things. So for example, I remember when I was young, I wanted a nice house and a nice car and a beautiful marriage and all of these things. And when I first looked at that list, I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to only get to pick one or two of these things, right? Like I'm not going to get to have all these things. And it was true. I didn't just get to have it all at once. I didn't just wake up and have the dream marriage and have the amazing car and have a nice house. It didn't happen overnight. But what did happen was I signaled to myself, you know what? At one point, at some point in the near future, I want to have all of these things. Okay? And then I started diligently working on one of those things at a time. So personally for me, the most important thing on the list was finding a partner and having divine union in my life. So that was the first thing that I was able to manifest. And then after that, it was dream car and so on and so forth. And so I want to share this concept with you guys because I know you're mainly going to hear you need to sacrifice this for that. You can have this, but at the expense of that. And I am here to tell you that no, you get to have it all. You get to have the dreamy marriage and the dream career. You get to have the nice home and the nice clothes. You get to have great health and fitness and wellness and also enjoy your life and eat good food, right? Like you can find a sweet spot where you're able to have all of those things at once. And I've never been someone who has been extreme. I've never been someone who's like, okay, I want to lose weight. Well, that means I'm going to cancel out all of these things at once. I always start slow and I incorporate one thing at a time. And once I'm able to do that, then I add more. So like for instance, for me, I'm still on my fitness routine. That's one of the things that unfortunately kind of fell to the bottom of my desire list, even though I believe it should be at the top. So that is now a focus of mine. It's like, okay, I have wealth, I have love, but if I don't have health, I really don't have anything. And so my first step in that was to create healthy eating habits. So one of the first decisions that I made was to start intermittent fasting. And I started that like immediately from a few weeks of doing that. I had already lost like at least 5-10 pounds. I dropped a size in pants and dresses, and so it was working. But guess what? I didn't start intermittent fasting every day because I knew that was a huge jump from going to where I was at the time, like eating at any hour, whatever I wanted, to now having a strict schedule of eating for 8 hours and fasting for 16. I knew that there was going to be an adjustment. So what I did was, okay, I'll do this 4 to 5 days a week, and then 2 to 3 days I'm going to take off. And so it kind of happened that usually the weekdays I was intermittent fasting, and then the weekends I wasn't. And then when I noticed I was able to do that for 2-3 months, I was like, you know what? I'm ready. I'm going to intermittent fast every single day. So then that became the new goal. And then once I was doing that for a month or two, I was like, okay, now it's time to get my fitness routine on track, because at the time I was working out kind of here or there, but it wasn't anything consistent. So at that point I started committing to certain workout classes. I started saying that, okay, at least 3 days a week I'm gonna do this type of workout, and slowly but surely I'm building those habits so I can get to a place where yes, I get to have that. I get to have a healthy body that is fit and strong and tight and lean and all of these things. But guess what? It didn't happen immediately. It didn't happen overnight. But I decided that, you know what? I get to have this desire. I don't need to have this desire at the expense of my business or at the expense of my marriage. So I think a lot of people, when they embark on a new journey or a new desire that their heart is calling out to them, they automatically start taking things out or saying, okay, well, instead of reading, I'm going to work out. And they start kind of sacrificing another part of their life. And I don't believe in this. I believe that if you take slow, gradual steps, you don't need to sacrifice other parts of your life, because it's naturally going to become a part of your lifestyle, a part of your daily and weekly habits. So I can literally walk you guys through how I've done this for almost every area of my life. When it came to investing, initially I had to literally set reminders on my phone to tell me invest this amount this month, and I would have this recurring reminder like, make sure to invest in your Roth IRA. And then after however many months of having that reminder, it became instinctual. I didn't need the reminder because I would already be on it, and I was already budgeting that amount into, I was already factoring that amount into my budget. So I wasn't scrambling to find the money to invest because it was already a part of my subconscious, like, okay, I'm going to invest monthly. I need to have this much set aside. And so now I'm able to invest more than I ever have in my life. Now, when I started investing, 6 years ago, did I make it a goal to invest whatever, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month? No, because at that time that would have been a huge jump. That wouldn't have made sense. That didn't line up with my income, with my lifestyle, with what I was earning. But I was able to gradually get there. And so I think a lot of us will have these wild goals, right? And when we look at them, instead of feeling inspired and saying, okay, let's take baby steps, let's even crawl to get started, we'll just be like, this is out of reach, I can't have it, this is gonna be a sacrifice, and we'll just give up. But what if instead we cultivated this inner knowing of, yeah, we get to have it. And let's start small. Let's start today. How can I start doing this today? Even if it's investing $1, even if it's investing $5, even if it's investing like pennies, right? But it starts building that habit. And so this has really been my secret to success, is knowing I can have both and then working towards it with baby steps. I did this with reading as well. A few years ago, I got back into reading and I was reading like a few books a year, and I had a conversation with someone where they told me they were reading a book a week. And I remember at the time being like, oh my gosh, like, that's amazing. Like, I knew that my soul just fired up upon hearing that. So I knew it was a desire of mine too. And at the time, I just couldn't even fathom putting enough hours a week towards finishing a book. It was just not possible at the time. It wasn't a part of my schedule. And so I knew it was a desire. I knew I could have it, but I was like, what can I do today that will get me on the path to being able to read that much? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to read 10 books this year. So I started off reading like 1 book a month. And so that was just like, I was really only reading a few pages every night, and that was doable. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I can start reading 2 books a month. And then I got up to reading almost 20, 30 books a year. And then a few years ago, I finally had the time and the energy, and I had built that muscle enough to where I was like, you know what? Now I can actually start reading a book a week. And that became part of my daily routine. And now that's just a part of my lifestyle. Reading is basically part of my schedule because now I value it so much, and I've gotten to the point where it isn't this far-fetched dream anymore. It's a part of me. It's my lifestyle. It's my daily activity. And so I don't see it as, oh man, I have to read, or oh man, I need to get my pages in. I look forward to it. I love it. It's something that I enjoy. And I think that a lot of people who think they don't like reading just simply haven't found the material that they enjoy, that they thoroughly thrive upon when reading. And so I've done that with reading. I've done it with investing. My husband and I have done that with travel. When I first showed my husband my bucket list for traveling, he was like, this is like endless. It was literally like, I don't even know how many pages. And he's like, man, we'll need to like travel someplace every week to get this accomplished. And I was like, no. We simply are going to travel just like we do, but we're going to make sure that when we travel, we're knocking off at least one of these places. And then lo and behold, now we've been together 6 years. And if I look at that bucket list now, of course, there's still plenty of places we haven't been, but there are so many places that we've been able to cross off because we visited them and explored them, and together we've even added new locations to the list. So now it feels more doable because we're actively taking steps towards that desire. This video is to inspire you. If you have a desire in your heart, don't feel guilt around it. Don't feel shame. Don't listen to anyone who tells you this is unattainable, or you know, they can do it because they have money but you can't, or you're gonna have to sacrifice this for that. Stop listening to them. Listen to your inner knowing and start taking small steps. You can have both, like my husband says. You get to have both. You get to have it all. It might not be all in the same day, right? Like that pasta sauce. But over time, you would be surprised as to what you get to have. And that is literally a testament to my entire life. Like, if you asked me when I was 18, oh, in 10 years, will you get to have all these things? I probably wouldn't believe you. But guess what? I started working at those things slowly but surely. And now I'm like, yeah, I do get to have that. I get to have that thing. And of course, there are still other things that I desire and that I want and that I'm diligently working towards. Like I told you guys, with my fitness, with my health, there's also other things that I am currently in the space of manifesting, which I don't want to reveal just yet, but these things take time, and they might be your desire for 5 years or 10 years or maybe even decades, but one day there's going to come a time where you're able to see that thing come to fruition, and it is just such a sweet feeling. So that is what I have for you guys today. That is the concept of both, which was created by my husband. I love you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe before you leave, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.